Hello and welcome to the Binge Thinker episode 58. My name is Jamil Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. As always, on this week's ep, I'm going to give you a draft of my $30 million sales course. Did talk to you guys about this last week. The idea is I'm working through this solo entrepreneurial journey. I'm building stuff every single day for this sales course. So why not give you, the good people of the Binge Thinker podcast, a sneak peek and hopefully learn something for absolutely nothing. This is a great way for me to get my thoughts out there into the ether, potentially make a little bit of content out of it as well. You know, this is about me and all my binge thoughts, and I've been binge thinking about this course for quite a while now. In a little bit of side news, a little bit of a life update, I've re-ruptured my bicep tendon. Fuck my life. Man, I cannot fucking do pull-ups. Pull-ups are just out of my repertoire from here until I am dead. I did do them. I've been bulking up and going a little bit heavier with all my lifts. I'm becoming a big beefy boy because I'm like, hey, it's winter. Why not fucking, you know, while it's cold and it's easy to eat and have a few extra calories, why not just fucking become a big beefy boy, get some of that muscle back that you lost over the bicep rupture the first time, which I have. I'm definitely got a nice thick physique going. 2 weeks of putting pull-ups into my routine again, just to get back on the horse and rebuild that, even though my back was looking fine without it. Yeah, just been did pull-ups, nothing happened, but I know I fatigued it during the pull-ups and then went heavy on a different action that was pulling and then felt something twinge again. Didn't realize how bad it was. I did that last Tuesday. Didn't realize how bad it was until the Friday when it did feel a bit stiff and tender, and then I started poking around in there, and I'm pretty sure I hit a fucking nerve or something because it sent an absolute shockwave through my body. My body had like an anxiety attack. I had to really breathe and process myself through it. It fucking sucked, man. It was a similar feeling to when I had the realization that I'd ruptured my bicep tendon the first time and basically spiraled from the realization that I'm going to be out for ages and I fucked myself and all that. So thankfully, it's not as bad as that. I've been through this before, but it is now in a compression sleeve, which you can't see. Especially if you're just listening to this. No more upper body for a couple of weeks. Might have to get it looked at by another surgeon to see what the proper damage is. I don't think, it's definitely not as serious as it was the first time. I think I might have torn like 10% of it or something like that, but something's given way. I've rested it and I can feel it like twitching around a little bit, like hopefully just by doing fuck all with it, which I've done all weekend. Keeping it in the arm sling position, trying to rest it, hopefully things start healing from there. Probably be out of action for upper body workouts for another 2-3 weeks, maybe more. I'll go see a surgeon about it, but fuck. The perils of being a big boy, huh? The perils of being a fucking big staunch boy that wants to put on all the mass and go heavy. The meathead phase is well and truly over. My body's like, buddy, stay slim, stay sexy. And I did want to, get into something like yoga or martial arts once I had more time in my life to do so. And this was just a staunch reminder that I have to go back to that and just, stay, sexy longevity. That was the original MO post-surgery. And I've just had a staunch reminder that I need to go back to sexy longevity again. But anyway, sadness over. Let's get to the fun stuff. I'm gonna riff on you guys for 45 minutes, an hour through all the various topics that I've got in the sales course. Wax lyrical, pontificate. You're gonna get a lot of insights about technology, about industry, about business, about sales psychology throughout this. Like I said, this is a draft 1 of the tech sales course. And it's just everything that I know about tech sales put into one place, the insights. So, the analyses, understanding people, understanding systems, processes. I don't know why I keep explaining it when I just start fucking talking about it. So I will. Right. Tech sales, technology sales. Why get into tech sales? Why did I get into there? First and foremost, I fell into it like everyone else that gets into tech sales. Nobody starts their career. No university graduate, comes out, does an IT degree or does a marketing degree or whatever it is and goes, you know what? I want to sell things to people for a living. Nobody gets into sales. They just fall into it because it's the type of person they are, usually a type A personality. They don't mind talking to people. Maybe they like the idea of making a shitload of money. I have varying degrees of all of that. I'm not a materialistic person, but I'm definitely motivated by money. I cannot deny that. Not to a point where I get greedy, although there have certainly been elements and parts of my life where you do go a little bit for broke sometimes. Because that's just, I think it's more about the idea of winning and the idea of financial safety as opposed to getting something over someone or just being wealthy for the sake of wealthy. I live below my means for my income. I'm not very materialistic. I like toys and tech, but that's just part of the passion of who I am. So, but if you're someone that is considering, a life path, a way to, step forward, make some money, do something with impact, do something that's interesting, tech sales is a great career for that. If you have a moderate interest in business, you should get into tech sales because of the way that society is going. One of the great things about technology sales is two areas of evergreen capability merged together. And what I mean by that is that technology is around to stay. Technology is what drives industry forward. It drives society forward. It drives the economy forward. Right now, financially, we are heading back into another bull market in the stock market. Why? They're completely being driven up by all the tech stocks, particularly Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Google. All the big tech companies become more and more powerful as the tech-led acceleration of the digital economy occurs post-COVID. And that is the way it's going to be because everything filters up when it comes to resources, capabilities. Basically, 95% of all of the technology that consumers use and the majority of the ecosystems for tech goes into the top 3 or 4 tech companies, right? You think about, you are listening to this most likely on an iPhone or an Android device. Android is owned by Google. Apple iPhone's owned by Apple, right? You're very likely using Chrome as your browser. You very likely at one point you're using very likely a Microsoft desktop if you're not using Mac, right? So again, the big 3 of tech, Apple, Google, Microsoft, the majority of consumer and business tech is amalgamating into these key 3 areas. So when we talk about tech being evergreen, we live in the technocracy. This is a concept that I talked to you guys about a little while ago, where productivity and the development of nations now is heavily tied to our ability to innovate within the technical realms. All of our industry, all of the economy is all built on tech. Culturally, all of our culture is spread through the internet now, right? And now we are in these highly diversified and hyper-personalized ecosystems that have been brought about by the internet, by the capabilities of social media, shifting our interests and the way that we consume media and content into our interest base, right? So we're becoming more and more enclosed in our own little comfortable ecosystem of content that we enjoy every single day. And that is, again, all fed up now through YouTube, which is now beating out all the Zetas. Everyone's on YouTube now. Network TV is dead. Again, technological advancements in networking technology has supplanted traditional broadcast media into the internet streaming, etc. So tech is around to stay. And also, sales is always going to be around to stay as well, because sales is about resolving people's needs. Right? Sales is a function that will always occur in society so long as we have needs and wants. And we will always have needs and wants because the human mind always thinks about the lack in its life, right? When we talk about consumerism and materialism and getting rich and wealthy without meaning, this is what capitalism and Reaganism and postmodernism has told us about, just about this faceless consumption. That is the human condition of lack inside the soul, inside the mind, inside the brain, trying to resolve this insatiable itch to resolve for meaning or purpose or satisfaction. And that's where needs and wants come in, right? So long as we desire things and so long as there's commerce involved in a value of exchange, we will always have sales. And we will always need people to sell things because you need the human connection and a human understanding of behavior and needs and wants to be extremely effective at sales, right? Even in the digital world, where, you know, if you buy dumb shit on Instagram or whatever, just random shit on Amazon or whatever, they understand human behavior and human psychology way better than we understand ourselves, right? Branding and marketing is all about understanding the human condition, what we want and need, and how to position things with language, with color, with sound, with location and timing to meet those needs through advertising to sell you products, etc. So when we talk about disruption, where technology is disrupting everything, technology sales will be disrupted to a degree where slowly and surely over the next decade plus, the more commoditized ways to procure, particularly from the consumer and small business markets, which will become increasingly automated, because realistically, what technology is replacing is human labor and human capability in a lot of these ways. So when we get rid of the human cost in a business, which is anywhere from about 30 to 40% usually is salary and wages, and replace it with something that's more consistent, an investment in technology that is significantly cheaper and is much more consistent, can work 24/7, that can operate in this we need it now society, the less human element we've got, the higher the profitability of the product, because there's less cogs involved, because there's less labor involved. Organizations will naturally want to move to AI, to technology solutions that are more resilient, that have more uptime, that make less mistakes, instead of opting for people, right? You know, I follow a lot of newsletters, and I like to think that I'm on the cutting edge, and I'm doing a lot of research into the latest trends in AI and in tech, in business, because that's where I'm at now. That's where I'm trying to push myself into this new realm of becoming a solo entrepreneur in the tech space. Everyone's talking about in AI how it's going to replace hundreds of millions of human jobs, which it will. And even to a point now, if you understand AI and generative AI, and we get to a point where you can understand automation and the intricacies of stitching together applications, I could potentially run a one-person business with myself and a mastery of AI by implementing these systems, you know, building these systems internally in my head, and then understanding how programming and AI works, and then implementing it through the software and the integration of these platforms to automate things like finances, to automate marketing, to automate any function in the business that does not require human intervention necessarily. So if you are looking for, a way forward, again, if you have a burgeoning interest in tech, if you like to understand business, if you like the thrill of the kill, if you are someone that's in sales and you like the idea of talking to people and getting the fucking bag, right? Get into tech sales. It is a great career. I do not dislike what I do. And again, it's not because I'm out there making a buck out of everyone. I have found purposeful and meaningful work in what I do, and I design solutions for people, because This is my MO since day one. I love helping people by solving their problems with technology. And then with this sales course, I'm helping tech salespeople by solving their problems with technology, right? It's understanding technology, it's giving them tools, it's giving them an understanding of where tech is going to go because maybe they have some idea, but they need guidance, right? Technology is anything that enhances productivity and efficiency. So it does not have to be fucking megabits and fucking devices or whatever it is. Something as simple as the supplementation regime I gave you for testosterone last week. That is technology. That is medical technology that we have found that enhances our human condition, right? This podcast is really about implementing tools and technology and systems into your brain so you can become a better person, and me sharing that journey with you, right? So that is why you should get into tech sales and the future of it and how it's here to stay. So it's a great investment in your future career ambitions. You make great money, right? You can get an entry-level role inside tech sales at 6 figures, right? You could easily make 6 figures in the first 1 to 2 years of being good in tech sales, straight up. When I got my first sales role in tech, when I was in B2B sales, not B2C, my on-target earning was $110,000. And that's pretty good for a guy who was like 26, 27 when I first got that role. Crazy. And then again, I hit my number, so I did pretty well. I think I made like 120% in my first year. So then that 20% extra is commissions, bit of a kicker. Fucking killing it, mate. Loving it. So it is good to make money. But the problem with that is when you begin to make money is the greed factor comes in. And there are plenty of douchebags that are in tech sales that are in it for the money to make big cash and be that fucking classic, slick dickhead. I don't know if you can hear that beeping in the background. My laundry is done. But there are plenty of dickheads that are just in it for the money and not for the purpose of solving problems, making cool shit happen, helping people, which is what I do. I work with them. I work directly with them, and they're fuckwits, mate. Just like any other fucking idiot that you see in any sales role. You know, the role of the salesperson in society is tarnished. Very similar to lawyers or real estate agents, right? Anything where there's a big amount of money involved, right? Property development, real estate, the law, all of these more traditional forms of industry, you know, are always going to attract people that want to get wealthy and rich for all the wrong reasons, right? But again, understanding why you want to become rich with meaning and purpose and fulfillment is a lot of self-searching, which a lot of these people don't do. They usually find their purpose in the bottom of a bottle or in a line of cocaine, as we've talked about in previous episodes with King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. So that's why I talk about it. That's why I enjoy the career. Why I love tech sales, again, is solving those people problems. I just like to help people, if that hasn't been abundantly clear already. And I do have a functional mind, not a technical mind. And what I mean by that is that I understand how things work and I tie them together. I'm very good at building concepts and explaining them and contextualizing them and joining dots and putting them together and pattern recognition. I don't like to get into the technical details of how many megahertz and how many bits and bobs and what kind of router or modem or device or the technical stuff. That's not me. I find that boring. If I have to look at numbers all day like an accountant, I'd fucking shoot myself. I like helping people, putting cool shit together and knowing that I've made an impact with the stuff that I've done. Right now, I've got a customer. I won't say them who they are out of privacy, but they do run a major Melbourne event. And the fact that I know that my solution is out there keeping the lights on for one of Australia's and Melbourne's premier entertainment events, that's fucking cool to me, right? In my years at Telstra, my favorite customers were my not-for-profit customers, particularly in the healthcare industry. Because why? Because I was using technology to really help people, My two favorite customers was, I'll say them out loud here, Mari Stopes, which was they are a contraceptive and sexual health clinic and agency that also are a global charity that provide contraceptive services and sexual health services to people on the poverty line, people that are struggling. There's a lot that goes on in the world, unfortunately. It's not just about abortion. There's a lot of coercion in pregnancy. There's a lot of women that are, in unfortunate situations that get put in really critical situations where their bodies are put at risk because of pregnancy, right? So the idea that I'm putting out technology and creating solutions that help women that are disadvantaged and that are struggling to get them the services they need, to give them security, to give them some comfort in a really dire time, to know that I've had a gentle hand in that, to help deliver services more efficiently and help improve that experience, and making sure that more women and more people that are disadvantaged get services and connectivity and information that helps them. That is what lifts me up. That's the cool shit. Very similar to my other customers, Save the Children. Save the Children is one of the biggest charities in the world. I've put out a big solution there. There was over 100 sites, and we were delivering technology and internet solutions to regional Australia, to Aboriginal camps, to disadvantaged communities that are out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And some of these some of these towns, some of these people are disadvantaged because of the bushfires and of natural disasters. And some of these people are getting the internet for the first time and an education for the first time that's being digitally delivered. That's fucking cool, right? Knowing that I've had a hand to make that happen for people, that's why I do tech. That's why I create solutions, because they enable cool shit for people in the future. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage people to get into tech sales if there is that human element in you that wants to create good things to help people. This is a great way to do that. It doesn't seem like it at face value, because you are going to talk to a lot of fuckwits that are just trying to get, tech out of you for the bottom dollar. Yeah, you're going to deal with that a lot in your life. But, every so often, you'll get a customer that means a lot to you, and there'll be a cause that you can get behind, right? And, just having that impact on people and having the ability to make change on a grand level with really just a few simple human skills and implementing technology that you probably won't even see, right? There are so many people that work in tech that haven't even seen the technology they're selling. They don't understand how it works. They don't integrate it. They don't touch it. Particularly early in career, I've got a bunch of people at Cisco now that couldn't even tell you what a data rack is, right? Sorry, data rack. A computer rack. What computer rack? Data center rack. There we go. It's been a long day. They don't understand that 75% of their equipment that they sell to people sits in one big rack, that's refrigerated in a data center in Port Melbourne or in the middle of fucking nowhere. And that's how technology works. Every app that you are using right now sits in a giant computer in a nondescript building, all over Australia, globally, right? These hubs of just plain buildings full of refrigerated data centers. And that is our digital world. People don't understand that. So, getting a bit distracted there. Yeah, the idea is that there is a way to be purposeful in the work that you do in tech sales. And it might not seem like it at face value, but it's what's kept me going for a while as well. I couldn't do something that I didn't find myself being of service to other people. And then again, I found that way to be helpful to people on the side by mentoring people, getting them under my wing and teaching them the ways of how to sell tech and understanding the industry, because I got to help them. And I felt their pain and I've been through their problems. And it can be lonely and frustrating, just like anyone that starts their career at first, right? Trying to be 24, 25 years old, speaking to guys that could be in their 50s that have been working in technology before they were even fucking born. and dealing with technology that they wouldn't have a fucking clue about. That's intimidating as fuck, and it happened to me. And it still does to some degree. Right? I don't pretend to be an expert in technology at all when it comes to the detailing of it. As far as strategy and functionality, sure. So, again, for me, I just find it I can find it purposeful, I can find it meaningful. And with that, I think there's a lot, particularly the people that I'm targeting, these Gen Zers, the millennials, that are looking for meaningful work, that are looking for practicality and purposeful interactions in what they do, as opposed to being some fucking spreadsheet jockey, quiet quitting, and doing no work Mondays or fuck off Fridays and all these things you hear about where people are increasingly disconnected from their jobs. Yeah, it makes sense because you don't feel like you're making a difference. And when you feel the crushing weight of society bear down upon you for the last 20 years as it has as a millennial, when you think about wars and you think about climate change and you think about the economy and how we're fucked over by boomers, there is this growing sense of dread that you got to do something practical with your fucking life to be of impact in the world and to make a difference, because that's what we want to do. Because we're thinking, guys, we've got to steer this fucking ship and turn it around because society is going through a shit way. And there is a way to find that purpose in some small way or form through a career in tech sales. That's what I'm saying. So, what kind of people are in tech? I say there's two kinds of people in tech, right? There's the tech people and there's the people. And the tech people, pretty straightforward. They're the engineers, they're the nerds, the propeller heads, the guys that, spend more time in the basement than out in public. They like tinkering with this stuff. They like to understand the technology deeply, and maybe they like coding and programming, and they like the idea of making this technology work. And I can certainly appreciate that from a functional level. Like if you look around here, I've got tech everywhere, right? From musical equipment to a fuck ton of devices to connected, I've got LifeX and Sonos and, connected consumer tech. I've got fucking a full podcast studio set up. I've got 2 laptops, multiple devices, right? I'm technical. There's no denying that. But if I had to spend all day talking about the technical side and how, I don't know anything about protocols. I don't know about IP protocols and MAC addresses and NATing and all of this, the deep technical stuff that you really have to be a real nerd about and really logical about to understand and appreciate. That ain't me. But do they have a place in society? Yes, they have an absolute role in society in the world of tech because they build the shit, right? Engineers fucking run the world, whether it be electrical engineering and network engineering to physical engineering, civil engineering, right? These are the quiet nerds that get shit done, that build the society that we exist in. And I have a hand in that as well, right? Because I build infrastructure solutions that deliver technology to people every single day, right? I sell servers for a living right now. So I sell big computers to big companies. And all these big companies use applications. Those applications sit in the servers, and everything that you do on a computer is either sitting on this device or is connected to a server somewhere else in the world. So it's absolutely necessary to be in the world of tech, and particularly in infrastructure, where I've always been, because it's not like some fluffy shit that you can probably go without. Every organization has a server somewhere. Every organization needs a network connection, right? So, it's important stuff. So it's another way to make sure that you are relevant in your tech career is that you're selling shit that people definitely need. And that's what I've been doing in infrastructure. So that's the tech side of people, that's the tech people. And on the other side, you've got the people, right? Salespeople like me, account managers, BDMs, sales managers, the people that are the front line trying to flog this shit out to businesses and consumers everywhere. Now, the people in tech, again, they could just be people that have a vague idea of what they're trying to sell and are just in it for the money or the status, right? There's plenty of tech bros out there that can talk about software SaaS sales and all that sort of shit. Or there are, people that are like me that just sort of fell into it and are a bit nerdy and like talking to people about it. Or they're just, again, people that want to get into the world of business, don't really know why they're there, but, have a type A personality and don't mind, getting rejected a shit ton and have the mental tenacity for it. And then they're there, right? Again, nobody starts their career wanting to get into sales. You just fall into it. And luckily, if you're lucky, you find some meaning in it, or you find meaning and understanding that it gives you a great income that you can, focus those resources somewhere else, like a hobby or a passion outside of it, whatever it may be. But, these people, they are more business and strategy and relationship focused. Because they have to engage with people. They need to be strategic about the way they sell this stuff. And they need to understand people innately to be good at their jobs. Now, funnily enough, a lot of people are not conscious about what they know about the people side of tech. So there are a lot of people out there that are sort of just bumping their way through and have found a rough idea of how to get by in making their sales number by, just being personable in tech. And that does go a long way, to just be someone that's a good guy to deal with in tech, in any industry, in any sales role. Being a good relationship guy and a person that's easy to deal with goes a long way in any sales role. And it goes a long way in tech. In fact, that's one of the core tenets of what I teach in the Tech Sales Academy, is just be a good fucking human being and be easy to deal with. Because what we sell and what we do is extraordinarily complex. And if you make that even more complex to someone by being a fucking dick trying to shove every product that you can down their throat so you can make your fucking commissions, then you're never gonna succeed well, or you're just gonna hop from company to company to company because you've burnt your bridges in that organization or in that industry vertical and have to switch somewhere else. And that is a real life example of someone that I know and I'm working with right now, right? Now, that's the traditional side of things. So when you work in tech, the most common thing is there's an account manager or a salesperson, and there's the engineer, right? So it's usually just a dynamic duo, pre-sales engineer, and then the account manager salesperson. So the idea of the salesperson, they're the one that goes out into the field, they go out to the customers, talks to them, try and generate opportunities, try and find ways to create deals, develop the pipeline. If there's any technical pre-sales information that's required, how does this product work, how will it integrate with what I do in this organization, et cetera, that's where the pre-sales engineer comes in. And that dynamic duo has been there since essentially day one. And day one for tech sales is probably no more than 30 to 40 years, right? Back in the 80s is when you probably were starting to sell tech. It was a bunch of real fucking nerds at IBM and maybe even Cisco, just some old school tech companies that were selling tech back in the day. And now, as the world becomes increasingly digitalized and amalgamated and we live in this hybrid world, hybrid people and hybrid skill sets are much more required to be practical in society and in the tech sales ecosystem. So what does that mean? It means the tech people need to become more personable and the people need to become more technical. And that's that happy medium of where I've sat. That was once described as a unicorn, because you are technical enough to be dangerous and speak to technical stakeholders with confidence and ease, whilst having the capabilities of a salesperson to understand business and relationships and what makes them tick and what their needs are. That's a dangerous and potent combination. And that's where I've sat for the last few years, because I have been interested enough to know how the products work and how they integrate together, so I can sell bigger, more strategic deals, connect dots, build immense value instead of selling individual products. And that's how I land big deals, big whales. And that's how I've got multiple case studies for my work, is because I was very convincing and correct about how you can make complex technical solutions fit together and provide simplicity to the customer, which is what they really want. So what I'm doing in this course is teaching that. I am teaching engineers the personal skills, and I'm teaching personable people more technical skill. But the technical skill aspect will come further down. That'll become in phase 2 of the sales course, because I'm not technical, I don't pretend to be, and I will get experts from every key architecture domain, which is networks, cloud, security, collaboration, devices, programming, AI, and I will get deep dives into those from the experts. And then I'll stitch those together and speak to my people, my cadets in the academy, about how we make that work for them, right? So the preliminary aspect of the sales course is focused around soft skills, people skills, because this is what's valuable, right? When we talk about this hybrid world, one of the challenges about the future of technology, particularly around AI and the relevance of engineers and the tech people in tech, is that a lot less of them are going to be required in the future, because eventually the tech will start to take care of itself with AI, right? Technology will go into self-healing, and they'll be able to scope out technology, and they'll be able to integrate into an ecosystem faster. Even more so, something that's more complex down the line is that we are converging towards these big ICT, these big tech players, like we just talked about before, the Apples, the Microsofts, the Googles. So eventually we'll be pretty much everyone is converging through these big three, with a periphery of specialist tech organizations sitting underneath. An example of that, for example, is like Microsoft in business is a behemoth. It is unstoppable, and it's extremely convenient for organizations to invest into Microsoft and get a full suite of tech products for a pretty reasonable price and an extremely convenient way to integrate it into a closed ecosystem, right? Same things applies to Apple. Apple is the king of consumer tech. We've talked about this before. Apple, in all its glory, has the iOS ecosystem and the Apple ecosystem, where you've got your applications, your devices, all sitting under iCloud. All of your applications go through the App Store they've created, and all of your information is kept secure and private through their encrypted messaging system, which is iMessage and the iCloud. They've been very, very good at encrypting and keeping users' data safe. Why? Because they don't need to sell it to anyone to make money off. Whereas Google has made their entire business model is based on understanding your information and selling your information to advertisers, i.e. SEO and search, which is the core of Google's business. Let's not forget that. So as these technologies and these ecosystems converge over time, and it's less about the physical technology, it's more about APIs and applications and sharing this information between all these common area platforms, engineers are going to be less and less required in the world. But if they, again, can marry that technical expertise and that knowledge, and then marry it with the understanding of what makes people tick and what makes businesses tick and what society needs, and integrates them both, that's a fucking potent force, right? If you think about your Bill Gates, if you think about your Steve Jobs, your Elon Musks, all of these tech billionaires have that deep understanding of both, right? Elon Musk is chief engineer at, I think, Tesla, or maybe SpaceX, right? But he does have a technical understanding, has a deep knowledge of physics that helps him develop rockets, that helps him understand how electricity works and how renewables work and all that sort of stuff. And then he applies that to what does society need, and then puts things into the future that people go, yeah, that's fucking cool. I want that Tesla. I want to go to Mars, etc. Similar to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs completely changed the way that we consume information onto the devices with the Apple iPhone. And that was futuristic when it came out, because we weren't using phones for information. We were just using them for calls and Snake, right? We didn't even have you couldn't even send nudes back then. They were great. They'd be just 7 pixels. So that, again, these great technologists understand what people need in the future. They understand the human condition, and then they throw and create something that's futuristic and what's something to aim towards, and generally society goes, that's fucking cool, let's go that way. Because it was something that Steve Jobs famously and quite correctly said is, people don't know what they want. You have to tell them what they want. And that sounds like we're sheep, but he's fucking right. Because when I have a good sale and I've got customers on the hook with what I'm trying to teach them or educate them on or sell them on, I am usually telling them what they need because I understand what their needs are deeper than they understand themselves to a degree. Why? Because this big disbalance, this balance of perception of power between the buyer and the seller. And the customer is not always right? Particularly in the tech world. Why? Because a lot of the times, particularly in the segment that I work in, which is that mid-market to tail end of enterprise, I don't do big enterprise organizations because they're too big and they're too slow. You have to think about their perspective. Most of the time, they're just head down, focused on their tasks, maintaining their infrastructure, solving their problems to their end users. They're focused on the task at hand. They're not out there looking at what the latest and greatest is, what technology is out there. They might hear things in passing from their mates in the ecosystem and the who you knows, right? But they're not as educated as someone like myself that's been in tech for 10 years, that has had to be on the cutting edge because I have to compete in it. And I have to stay on top of things so I don't lose my competitive edge and knowledge when I speak to the customers that do know about tech. And there are some savvy people out there and you need to respect that because I've never come from a perspective that I know more than the customer. In a lot of ways, I do, but I don't put my perception out there that I do. I like to sit back and listen because there's been many times in my career that I've been swept under the rug or had the rug pulled out from under me because I haven't been technical enough. And I know that there are CIOs that are fucking nerds and that are in the know of these things, and I have no value to add besides being a good person to deal with, right? There are a handful, 5 to 10% of my customer pool that are fucking savvy individuals that understand tech really well and they know how to negotiate. But the majority of them, the Pareto's principle, 80% of them, they're not focused. They don't have the people skills to negotiate. They are encumbered by this idea that they have to make significant financial decisions and investments that they don't really know that much about because they haven't kept up with the latest in technology. They might have a vague understanding of what it is, but because they're too busy living their lives, doing their day jobs, keeping the lights on, they're not as educated. And they might have money that I want, but I have way more knowledge and capabilities and insights into the world of tech that they need. Right now, I'm speaking to multiple customers where I am coaching them through the tech sales ecosystem and how to get the most for themselves, for their money, how it operates, right? I'm showing them the inside world of tech because I don't give a fuck about making the most money out of people. I just want to solve the problem and make something for them. Do I get a sale out of this? Yeah, absolutely. But if I can be as honest and as forthright to customers, and again, show my hand, so to speak, and just go, here's everything that you need to do, here's my experience, this is how you can save money, this is how these organizations work, this is how you can get what you need as efficiently as possible, customers eat that shit up. They trust you because they're going, hey, this guy's on the inside and he's helping me out here, let me jump in on this. And that's happened to me all the time. Once you understand the systems, you can bend and break them to your will, right? And you can get the most out of these systems, out of these situations for mutual benefit. Whew. So that was a fucking cool tangent that I just went on. Where was I going with that? Anyhow, so that is the two types of people, right? And you probably just by hearing that, you probably understood what I mean by being a people person in tech. me solving the people's problems, me understanding systems and ecosystems, how they work and how you can leverage them to your benefit, right? And that's the advanced version of what I'm teaching here, right? That's the stuff that'll sit for the real fucking hardcore sellers that I have and the real cadets, right? I'm not going to put all my secrets out here into the universe. I've got some stuff up the sleeve that are for the deep circle of how to, like I said, manipulate those ecosystems to your advantage. So, yeah. Whew. How long have I done? 45. All right. So, God damn it. Oh, that's all right. That's fine. Just had some lighting kick in here, but that's A-okay. So, you're in tech, you want to get into tech, you're a tech person, maybe you're a people person. What are the essential skills that you need to be successful in tech sales, right? And this is what the core of my course is about. And the 4 key areas of success, and this is in the free training that'll come out very shortly for the Tech Sales Academy, is that these 4 key areas of expertise are what people need to master and understand at varying degrees, and having the toolkit, right, like an artist with the paints, etc., knowing what your tools are, how to sculpt, how to do that sort of stuff, to be deadly in tech sales, right? And so these 4 key areas are customer experience, right? You need to understand what your customer wants, what makes them tick, what motivates them, what they're afraid of. The more you understand a person, the more you understand the human condition and the situation they are in, the more you are able to leverage the tools and capabilities and the knowledge you have to help them out and solve the problem. All right, you will very likely in your tech sales career manage a portfolio of customers because that's how sales works. Is you have a portfolio of customers, you're an account manager usually, or you're dealing with a portfolio of set customers, and how you interact and how they engage with you and how much they like you is the number one indicator of success in your career. Because I have met a lot of people who did not like the company that I worked for, i.e. Telstra, but they liked me as a person and they kept buying from me because I'm a good person and my personal brand is better than the company brand, which is one of the most important things that I teach in the course, right? Is that I need to understand customers, you need to understand people, what makes them tick, what makes them happy. That is a huge part of just life, really. That's one of the biggest teachings from the course, is that we're all just people fiddling with different tools. So people is the commonality, right? Psychology, understanding what they think, understanding their needs and wants, what's the sales psychology around that, really, really important stuff. The second most important skill, or just the second skill, not second most important, they're all very important, is communication and soft skills, is how you interact and talk to people, right? Soft skills are leadership, they are emotional intelligence, they're listening. Again, understanding the needs of the people and using technology to solve their problems. That's the crux of your experience in tech sales and in any sales role, is really understanding them the most and having the strongest reality to solving their problems. What I mean by that, the closer you can bring an individual, a customer, to the reality of the solution that you are selling, the more likely you are to win the deal. Why? Because one of the greatest cognitive dissonances and the changes that occur when you buy something, particularly if you're doing a transformational change, it's like moving house. It fucking sucks. It takes a lot of mental energy and it's a lot of uncertainty. The human mind hates uncertainty. The human ego hates uncertainty. That's why growth is so painful. And again, like we've talked about, every time you face a new level of growth inside you, your ego will throw perceptions out to keep you safe to what it knows, even if it's harmful to you. And that applies in sales as well. So if you can minimize the gap between A and B, where they currently want to be, and the solution that you provide them, and bridge that gap and minimize the friction, and know how to communicate and how to influence and how to sell them and communicate to them what that vision looks like and what this new state looks like, you're going to be very likely to win that business. And that's happened for me time and time again. And you'll see that in the course when I go through things like I'll go through my technology roadmaps and I'll go through the presentations that I create for customers that tell the full story of where they are now to what next. And not telling that story and not removing that friction is the easiest way for you to improve as a salesperson anywhere in any industry. Because people, as salespeople, they're too focused on the number instead of solving the problem. So they just focus on the product they're trying to sell instead of the solution that it's going to create and the efficiency that it's going to, and the benefits it's going to give to the customer. Too many people talk about product and not about the solution and how it solves their problem. Third one, business acumen, right? Business is its own beast. You need to speak the language of the business world. You need to understand how the economy shapes decisions, how money makes things work. Money is the root of all evil, apparently. Money makes the world go round. And business does not exist without money. Business does not exist without commerce. And we don't survive as a species without commerce in modern society. Unless you want to fuck off to the middle of nowhere, start a farm, live off the land, which sounds pretty good sometimes, admittedly. You need to understand the business world. It's a different beast. It's its own individual beast, but in a lot of ways is just a collective of people, right? In my mind, an organization, a corporation is just like a congealed amount of people going very slowly in a similar direction because that's what they get paid to do. But because very similarly, like people, sorry, hang on, how do I say this? Corporations are just people, so the mindset of a corporation is exactly the same as the individual that potentially runs it. Maybe not the smarter individuals like the CEOs and whatnot, the executives that have a pretty good state of mind, but general corporations have the same perspectives and are afraid of the same things that people are afraid of and want the same things that people want. And essentially, corporations are just about survival. Businesses exist to deliver value and to survive, right? That's what we do as individuals. We deliver value through our employment, and that gives us resources to survive. And that's how we subsist. Same with a corporation on a much larger scale, right? So if you understand, just like you understand the anatomy of your body and how it works and these like your physical systems, mental systems, if you understand financial systems and what the structure of a business is and how marketing impacts it, or how customers and the external inputs of the economy influence the way that it operates, you can speak that language, and then you've got new tangent points and more perspectives to add value from and to challenge a customer's perspective with. And you have new ways that you can implement your technology and explain to them how this is going to make things better for them, right? Because if they don't have a problem in their business, there's very likely no reason for you to sell them the tech. So to understand, just like you don't go to the doctor if you're not sick, you don't go and buy tech unless you need it. And why do you need it? Because something in the body of an organization needs to be fixed, right? So you need to understand that organization, the body of it, the anatomy of an organization, a corporation, a business, and learn how to solve that problem like a doctor. And then, of course, the key skill number 4 is technology and technology solutions, right? We live in a digital-first, application-centric, now AI-driven world where AI is now increasingly becoming the leading intellectual force in society. So yes, it's still important for you to have an interest in technology, how things work and why they work, but you do not have to be alone in this pursuit. That's when you rely on your engineers and the bigger nerds that exist in your business and learn how to collaborate with them using those personal skills we talked about, those communication and soft skills, to create cool solutions. So yes, although I say in the Tech Sales Academy, you do not need to be technical to be successful in tech, which I wholeheartedly agree with and stick by, you still need to have an interest in the tech. If you're a guy that wants to live out in the middle of fucking nowhere and off the grid, and somehow you're selling tech, you're not going to have as good a time or as pleasant an experience or as an easy an experience if you are pushing against the resistance of not being interested in the tech and how it works. You don't need to be a fucking deep technical nerd to know about this shit. Like I said, I sold millions of dollars of tech, not understanding really how the internet worked until a couple of years ago, or the majority of the technology they sell, I don't have a deep technical understanding of. My job is to make the human element of the integration work, which is selling and convincing the stakeholders and the organization that this works. And then I let the propeller heads, I let their nerds and my nerds talk, and they can figure out how it works together. And that might sound diminutive, but I tell execs that all the time. Executives, CTOs, if you're selling into an organization, again, like we said before, even IT people aren't that technical. They know their one thing very well. And a handful of them are actually quite savvy. But if you start selling tech into the CFO, who sometimes owns the budgets for the IT part of the business, or you speak to a COO, a chief operations officer, who wants to implement better tech into the operations to make it more efficient, they'll be technical about the process itself, and that might be analog or has little technology involved in it, but they're not going to understand the protocols and the systems that underpin and the infrastructure that underpins what makes that process work. They just want to uplift it. So when I sell to non-technical resources, COOs, CFOs, I don't speak technical to them at all. I dumb it down and use contextual information, using what they might already know about something else, and contextualize that information into what's happening now to be an effective communicator, right? I'm essentially a translator. And that, again, that integration of technology solutions, understanding how the tech works, why it works, plus an understanding of the human element, right? What do they understand about technology? What's their technical expertise and knowledge? How can I make them understand how this works for them in a way that they understand? That is the potent aspect of being in tech sales, is if you can communicate tech and its benefits to stakeholders in any size and any location, you are going to be a potent force making a killing, creating cool solutions, transforming the globe in your own little way. Folks, I'm going to leave that there because I've just pretty much hit the hour. And I'm going to talk about this for fucking weeks, right? And as you can tell, I can wax lyrical on this shit all day, every day, right? So there it is there. 4 key areas of success in tech sales. Why get into tech sales? What does the tech people versus people look like? That's a great fundamentals in 1 hour of the Tech Sales Academy and what you need to be successful in tech. Next week, I'm just going to keep punching through essentially the MVP of the course and just talking to you guys about it. So next week, we'll talk about personal development mindset, the principles of technology, and then maybe some of the essentials, some sales 101, right? Teaching you how to sell from B2C and B2B, understanding what that looks like as well. So guys, what I'm doing now is I'm talking to you listeners. I am not promoting clips anywhere. I've cut that out for the time being because again, I just need to cut shit out of my life that is unnecessary for me to build this course out. If you like what I'm doing here, please share the YouTube out with people, share the podcast with people. Again, you are getting a course that has sold over $30 million of technology in the last 5 years for absolutely zero. So if you like what I'm doing here, go check out techsales.academy, sign up for the pre-launch, right? I'm just collecting emails at the moment, eventually have the sales funnel built in the next month. Share this with friends, etc., because you're getting a fuck ton of value for absolutely nothing. If you're on the YouTubes, do us a favor, like and comment for the algorithms. At Jamil J. Raymond on all the socials, and I will see you next week, bingers. Thank you for your time and attention. See you then.